So the playoffs have already started, and I'm just now making my first round predictions, but better late than never. But first things first, I want to say that I want to thank everybody for accomplishing this short-term goal of getting this channel up to 100 subscribers. I know that number might seem small to other people, but to me it means a lot. It's one of the first goals I've set for this channel, and we got it done in a small amount of time. And that I will continue to set goals for this channel and myself, and hopefully you guys still rock with this channel and keep supporting it like y'all have done so far. And I'm gonna keep grinding to make sure I put out better content and just improve as a content creator overall. But as far as these playoffs have gone so far, it's been absolutely surprising. Teams like the Orlando Magic is beating the Raptors in the playoffs. The Nets with a surprising victory over the 76ers. The Warriors beating the Warriors. And the Spurs taking home court advantage against the Denver Nuggets. But starting off with the 76ers and the Nets, I did not expect the Nets to win a game. Doing my predictions, I just had a feeling that D'Angelo Russell would shoot them out this game, out the series basically. Watching a lot of Brooklyn Nets game this season, I've seen that he takes a lot of bad shots and he can commit a decent amount of turnovers. And I felt like with all that being said, he's probably going to be guarded by Jimmy Butler the whole game and Ben Simmons the whole game. I expected them to control him for the majority of the season. And for the first half of that game, of game one, I was proven correct. But as we all know now, once the second half hit, D'Angelo Russell and the Nets entirely started to basically find their groove and pull off the victory. Now again, originally I did have the 76ers in a sweep. I'm not going to go back on my word and say, oh, I had the Sixers in 5 just because Brooklyn won. But now it looks like that is going to have to be my prediction now, as I still see Philly winning this game. It can't be a sweep. I got them in 5 now, but they got to get Tobias Harris some more touches. That's what I'm going to say about that series for now. But now the second Eastern Conference matchup that we had last night, Raptors and Magic. And when I tell you this was more unexpected than the 76ers and Nets, the Magic actually won. And guess who's back? Playoff Kyle Lowry, big old fat 0, 0 for 7, 0 from 2 from the free throw line. Basically, no production whatsoever. And I thought this phase of Lowry's career of being, I don't want to say a playoff choker, but just underperforming in the playoffs entirely, I thought that phase was over now that they got rid of DeMar DeRozan, changed the coach. But yet, the same old Kyle Lowry has returned. Playoff Lowry has returned. And it basically cost the Raptors game 1 of this series. But I have to put some respect on DJ Augustine's name. He was absolutely picking apart the Raptors. He was getting to the rim at will. He was so good at controlling the pace in the pick and roll. It was just a fantastic performance all around from DJ Augustine. And again, when you're talking about this series, he's not the name. He's not the player that you would expect to be the key performer for the Magic. You would think it would be Vucevic, maybe Aaron Gordon, maybe Evan Fournier, but not DJ Augustine. And the fact that the Raptors couldn't really handle him in this first game, it worries me, because Vucevic wasn't all that productive. He only had 11. Gordon, like I mentioned, solid game, 10 and 10, but we know Aaron Gordon could probably do more than that. So you're letting DJ Augustine really get off in this game with everybody else not really producing the way that they usually do. So what's going to happen when those other people, those other players produce like how they do it in normal fashion? And I do have the Raptors winning this series again, just like the Sixers in the Nets series. I have this in a sweep, but it's not going to be a sweep, obviously, because the Magic took game 1. So I'm going to have to go to the next best thing and say that the Raptors win in 5. But as the playoffs continue and Lowry continues to underperform, the Raptors might see a second round exit. Lowry really has to step up his game for the Raptors to really do anything. Next matchup that happened last night was the Warriors versus the Clippers. And I don't even feel like I really have to go through much in this series or much about what happened last night. Just know that the Warriors are sweeping the Clippers. There's nothing that the Clippers can really do that can really limit the Warriors or anything, or trouble the Warriors in anything. I just don't see it happening. Warriors in a sweep. But now the first series I don't think will end in a sweep or anything like that. Denver versus San Antonio. We saw that the Spurs are not to be underestimated. Any team coached by Greg Popovich will be a threat in the playoffs. The Spurs, they're just the Spurs, you know what I mean? They have the same style of basketball every single year. You can plug in any type of player that you want and they will be effective. DeMar DeRozan did the opposite of what Kyle Lowry did. He actually showed up in the playoffs. Marcus Aldridge had a really good game. And that man, Derek White, baptized. When I mean baptized, was probably one of the best dunks that we have seen this season. Baptized Paul Millsap. But through all that, the Nuggets were still in the game the whole time. And the majority of that team is their playoff debut. And for a young team to be that composed and be in the game the whole time, it shows a lot. And I think the Nuggets will win this series in 7 games. It will be a hard-fought series, but I do believe that Denver has enough pieces to get past the Spurs. I like their depth. I think Jokic will step it up. I have the Nuggets in 7. And now staying in the Western Conference, got the Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Portland Trailblazers. I'll be honest, I don't really see how the Trailblazers win this series without a healthy CJ McCollum or without Yusuf Nurkic. And I don't really understand how people are viewing OKC as the underdogs in this. We saw last season the Trailblazers are a high seed, but just because they're a high seed doesn't mean it's going to register into playoff success. And personally, I think everybody should have OKC as the favorites in this series. They're starting Enes Kanter at center, which is not really the ideal thing to do, especially in the playoffs and especially against a team like OKC, who runs a bunch of pick and rolls and will isolate Enes Kanter and make him guard the pick and roll with Steven Adams, or make him switch and have him guard Paul George, maybe have him guard Russell Westbrook. They will absolutely exploit Enes Kanter in this series. Again, Lillard is not a good defender either. CJ McCollum has played the last 2 games, but he hasn't been that good. I don't think he's 100% healthy. So all the offensive load will be on Damian Lillard. And for a 7-game series, I don't think Lillard is going to be able to handle all of the offensive responsibilities. He's going to need CJ to be 100% healthy. And without that happening, I don't see how the Trailblazers really put up a fight. So I got OKC in a gentleman's sweep, 4-1. And to complete the Western Conference bracket, it's the Rockets and the Jazz. And again, I got the Rockets beating the Utah Jazz in 6 games. And I think people should expect this to be one of the most entertaining series in the West and in the playoffs in general. When you just look at the matchups, Harden, Donovan Mitchell, those are some of the most exciting players in the league. Some people don't like Harden, but I find him quite exciting to watch. Everybody should think that Donovan Mitchell is exciting to watch, but just the basketball point of it, the Rockets are not losing in the first round. I don't want to say that I will be shocked, because that's kind of disrespecting the Utah Jazz. I think they should be respected as one of the most consistent teams for the second half of the season. Donovan Mitchell has been really good in his sophomore season. They still have maybe the Defensive Player of the Year in Rudy Gobert, but I don't see them defeating the Houston Rockets this season. In my eyes, the Houston Rockets have the league's MVP in James Harden. Chris Paul is always better in the playoffs than the regular season. So I think, I don't want to say just them two, but they're going to be the main factors on why the Houston Rockets advance to the second round and get Utah up out of here in 6 games. And speaking of getting the job done in only 6 games, that's how I feel about the Celtics and the Pacers. I have the Celtics defeating the Indiana Pacers in 6 games. And I've seen people say that the Celtics are going to sweep the Pacers, win in 5, but I value the Pacers a lot more than other people do. And with the loss of Marcus Smart due to a torn, something wrong with his abdominal muscle, which sounds awful, by the way. But with that loss, the Celtics lose their best defender, one of their best playmakers, and just their enforcer, their hustle guy. And people really don't value the importance that Marcus Smart brings to the Boston Celtics. So with that injury, it just brings another question mark to the whole Boston Celtics season as a whole, as they have one of the most confusing ceilings and floors, as they can go as high as winning the championship or as low as losing in the first round. And the Pacers will push the Celtics in this series. They have a lot of depth on this roster. They have Bogdanovich as their go-to guy, the 2 bigs in the middle with Sabonis and Miles Turner that will try to punish the Celtics inside. But without their all-star and Victor Oladipo, you can't expect the Pacers to go far. In the playoffs, you need an all-star type player to really take you anywhere. And in the last first-round matchup of the playoffs, we got the Detroit Pistons versus the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, originally, I had the Bucks winning in 5 games, but with the news of a potential injury for Blake Griffin, something involving his knee, I can't see the Pistons winning a game anymore. Blake Griffin is the most important piece of this team. He's having a career season, but if the Pistons don't have Blake Griffin, there is no way that they're winning a game against the Milwaukee Bucks. They don't have enough scoring power. They don't have the defensive versatility to deal with Giannis. They didn't have it even when Blake was there, but now that they don't have their best player for potentially the first game, maybe second game too, there's no way the Pistons have a chance in this series. Giannis might average like 35, 30 in this series against Detroit. So yeah, Milwaukee 4-0. So those are my predictions for the first round of playoffs. We're going to see how they actually turn out. And once we get to that point of the time, I'll make another one of these videos specifically for the second round. But if you enjoyed this video, show it, like the video. Please subscribe. This has been Moneymack, and I'm out.